everyone, welcome back to Clusterbmilkshake. I am your host, along with support puppet, Mr. Chicken. Yes, I'm a diagnosed narcissist with antisocial personality disorder, and today we're going to talk about boundaries with codependence and narcissist. Now, when I talk about these things, you're going to see that we both have codependency, but they're going to look different when I explain where they stem from and then how these codependency defenses show up in our relationships. I will talk about boundaries and walls and how we defend ourselves. We defend ourselves with our relationships and the outside world. But first, we're going to talk about the 5 core symptoms of codependence. Codependents experience difficulty with self-esteem at one or both of 2 extremes. At one extreme, self-esteem is low or non-existent. You think that you are worthless than others. At the opposite extreme is arrogance and grandiosity. You think you are set apart and superior to others. All of this stems from how we were raised in childhood, because our parents teach us what self-esteem is: healthy, low, or grandiose. You can also flippity flip-flop between the two, and some of these things are unseen to us. So we could be behaving in a regular, normal way to us because of how we were raised, when we're actually being toxic little shit storms, both of us. Okay? So, where low self-esteem comes from. Children learn to self-esteem first from their major caregivers, but dysfunctional caregivers give their children verbally, the message that children are less than people. These less than messages from caregivers become the children's own opinion of themselves. So you're being trained as a child how to feel about yourself. Okay? Where am I? All right. Upon reaching adulthood, it is almost impossible for those raised with less than messages to be able to generate the feelings from within that they do have value. So what I'm talking about is how you or the narcissistic person feels in the core about themselves, or things that are actually hidden from us, okay? Where arrogance and grandiosity come from. Arrogant and grandiose behavior arise out of one of 2 distinct situations. In the first, a family system teaches a child to find fault in others. The children thus learns to regard others as inferior to themselves. Such children may be criticized and shamed excessively by the caregivers, but they can usually rise above resulting sense of being less than by judging and criticizing others. So if I'm being belittled and shit on, saying that I have no value at home, I will counter that by doing the same thing to other people, thinking that I am raising my own self-esteem, which isn't true. I'm not raising fucking shit. On the other hand, some dysfunctional family systems actually teach their children that they are superior to other people, giving them a false sense of power. And I believe that this is something that my ex-husband and I were doing to our children, because my ex-husband learned this from his father, where a certain, his last name, we're this. When I got a divorce, I'm like, yeah, can I just keep the last name so I don't have to switch everything? And he's like, of course, it's the best name in the world. Proof positive that this is what was happening. Okay. Then there's other esteem. Other esteem. If codependents have any kind of esteem, it is not self-esteem, but what I call other esteem. Other esteem is based on external things, including some of the following. This is what you call supply. How they look, how much money they make, who they know, what kind of car they drive, what kind of job they have, how well their children perform, how powerful and important or attractive their spouse is, the degrees they have earned, how well they perform at activities in which others value excellence. Getting satisfaction or enjoyment from these things is fine, but it is not self-esteem. Other esteem is based either on one's own human doing or on the opinions and behaviors of others. The problem is that the source of other esteem is outside of the self and thus vulnerable to changes beyond one's control. One can lose this exterior source of esteem at any time. So other esteem is fragile and unpredictable. This is why when a narcissistic person is trying to control your reality of how you see the narcissistic person, and this is because of our low self-esteem masked as high self-esteem or self-esteem at all, or big fucking ego or whatever, right? Right. And then in turn, you are trying to control the narcissistic person as well with see me, I have value, look at how well I take care of you. You guys saying I'm grade A supply, that's codependence. Look at all that I do for you. Pay attention to me, I have value. But you're not taking care of yourself, okay? All right, so the boundary system, all right? So now we learn our boundaries from our parents, and parents are usually encroaching on our boundaries, whether being touching, invading our space, privacy. They think that they don't have to give their kid any privacy or space. Sexual stuff, if you've been as a child, even touching, hugging, you don't want to hug grandma and the parent is feeling shameful through you for not just being the good kid and obeying, and they may push you to give physical touch to somebody that you do not want to touch you. Okay? All right. Let me see. Offensive acts that demonstrate the lack of internal boundaries include using sarcasm, hurt, belittling another person, blaming someone else for what they feel, think, do, or don't do, and believing they are responsible for making someone feel, think, or do anything. There's a part in here that also talks about empaths. Empaths who think that you can mind read somebody's emotions. And so you are going to try to become what the other person, that you think the other person needs. And that you're controlling your environment. So if you see somebody acting mad or angry, or they're giving off that energy, you think that your behavior is going to be able to correct it, or you might get angry because you think the other person is angry at you. If you see somebody who's sad, you might become uncomfortable or think that you're being overly empathetic because you can save this person from their sadness. And so you're going to give the shit out of this person to make them feel better, instead of just asking, is there anything I can do for you? That's keeping a boundary. You're not doing, you're not overdoing, you're not taking on the responsibility to make somebody happy or to relieve their anger or whatever. You're asking, can I do something? Dude, I've done the toxic bullshit, and I allowed other people's emotions to make myself react, and I became triggered to these emotions that you are having, instead of just letting you have your fucking emotion. Have your fucking emotion. I'm gonna go do me, you go do you. If you need something from me, you have to be adult enough to ask for it. Some people they'll manipulate you with passive aggression to get you to ask and pull out of them what they need. That's not your responsibility, and that's fucked up for somebody to do to you. Okay. Now, non-existent boundaries. People with non-existent boundaries have no sense of being abused or of being abusive. So when I'm bringing these things up to you, don't be, she's just fucking blame shifting, blah. Or that, making excuses for a narcissistic person to be abusive to you and them not knowing. I tell you all the time that my defenses and my reactions are normal to me. And what my normal is, that I did not think that I was being abusive. Yeah, I'm being mean, but I feel like I am setting a boundary when actually I'm being a dick. Okay. Such people may have trouble saying no or protecting themselves. They allow others to take advantage of them physically, sexually, emotionally, or intellectually without clear knowledge that they have a right to say, stop that. I don't want to be touched. Coffee. Or I'm not responsible for their feelings, thoughts, or behaviors, like I talked about before. And if your original caregivers or people that you were around a lot were encroaching on your boundaries the whole time, when you grow up, you're going to let this happen. You can even feel anxiety inside of yourself or guilt. They're not going, and you're going to go into, let's say, a freeze mode when they are, trying to get what they want from you. A codependent with no boundaries not only lacks protection, but has no ability to recognize other people's rights to have boundaries with the codependent. Therefore, a codependent with non-existent boundaries moves through other people's boundaries unaware that she or he is doing something inappropriate. So even you are encroaching on other people's space. I don't know if it's going to be in this section, but both of us have our own reality that we grew up in, okay? And we're going to try to pull each other into each other's reality, which is fucking delusional fantasy land. How one is supposed to behave, both trying to control the other, or train the other, or groom the other And then, of course, if you do not, then the fucking rage monster is going to come out, or you're going to do too much to try to get somebody to change their behaviors towards you. And then both of us are going to resent each other. Yay, jazz hands. Okay. Both the victim and the offender codependent have the same problem, except the victim gets abused while the offender does the abusing. Over the long haul, neither can stop the behavior by willpower. Since people with intact or healthy boundaries can't imagine mature adults unable to stop abusive or victim behavior, they hold little sympathy for the person trapped in the agony of codependence. This is why when you go to your friends who could be, suffering with the same shit with yourself, but they haven't had an opportunity to be in a relationship with somebody where their internal childhood trauma is triggered, or say they do have strong boundaries, or they're, the dick themselves and all fucking self-righteous, and they're not going to understand what you are going through. How come you can't just leave? Now, you do have the power, my friend, to stop this, but you have to understand what is keeping you from stopping it, okay? Because your brain's all scrambled eggs. You're like, no, I can't. And it's because of all of these core issues: abandonment, not having strong boundaries. This is your normal. And when you learn these things, you are going to be able to extract yourself. Yes, you're going to go through the grieving process. You gotta, okay? All right. Damaged boundary systems has holes in it. People with damaged boundaries can at times, or with certain individuals, say no, set limits, and take care of themselves. At other times, or with other people, they are powerless to set boundaries. So you may have been cool your whole life setting boundaries with other people, and then this person who comes in and reignites your childhood trauma, and then you're just like, who the fuck am I? Have you ever been like, who the fuck am I? This is not who I am. Out with other people in the world and everything, and then this person comes into my life and I become somebody who I do not recognize in the mirror. Okay? All right. For such men and women, there is protection only part of the time. For example, people may be able to set boundaries with everyone but authority figures, or his or her spouse, or his or her children. Yes, so I could be a toxic boundary setter with my husband, with other friends, family members, but then when it came to my children, meow, okay? Or the person can usually set boundaries except when he or she is tired, sick, or scared. So, like when somebody is just constantly nagging you, come on. I could do this to my mother. You just beg, plead, or to get what you want. And then she would just be so fucking exhausted. She's like, fine, here, take the fucking thing. Okay, all right. In addition, people with damaged boundaries only have partial awareness that the others have boundaries. With certain individuals or in certain circumstances, they become offenders, stepping into someone else's life and trying to control and manipulate it. Yes. Damaged boundaries cause a person to take responsibility for someone else's feelings, thinking, and behavior. Sound familiar? Okay. So, walls instead of boundaries. And in here you can go back and forth from having no boundaries to walls, or to damage boundaries and walls. So let's get to it. Complete protection, but no intimacy. If you have walls, you cannot be intimate with a partner. You can also see this in narcissistic relationships when they're vulnerable, presenting, and they will have walls to keep you out. And I'm going to tell you their behaviors to keep you out. And then they'll have their boundaries non-existent, and then just trauma dumping on you and everything. And then you go into your mode where you feel like that you have to care give, and then the wall goes back up, and then you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then you're angry and resentful. Okay. A system of walls substitute for an intact boundary and is most often made up of anger or fear. People who use a wall of anger give off the message, either verbally or non-verbally, if you come near me or if you say anything about such and such, I will explode. These are manipulative behaviors to letting you know that you can, it makes you walk on eggshells around your person. I might hit you or yell at you, so watch out. Others are afraid to approach for fear of triggering the anger. People who use a wall of fear retreat from others to keep safe. This is also a wall. Such people don't go out. They could be the introverted people. If this kind of person must be in a group of people, he or she admits the energy field of fear that gives the message, don't come near me or I'll fall apart. I'm so fragile and afraid that I can't handle contact with anyone. Other codependents in the victim stance understand this and keep away. Unfortunately, an offender, an encroacher, is attracted to a person like this, and surely, as a bull with a waving cape, so a wall of fear is not an effective method for protecting from offenders. Because if you're somebody who cannot see other people's boundaries, give no fucks, you're going to just come in. You see this with also parents and children. If you instill fear in your kid, and then you're going to be the offender and encroach on all of their boundaries, and you're going to feel justified and self-righteous that you can do so. Two other types of walls are the wall of silence and the wall of words. The person using a wall of silence becomes quiet and does not emit an energy field of emotion as people using fear or anger do. The person just fades into the woodwork and starts observing what is going on in the room rather than participating. Sometimes I have done this too, where I will just watch you, and then I'm trying to figure out what my next move is. It's not like a malicious thing, but I am protecting myself, not wanting to cause you to see me in a bad light, and it causes fucking anxiety. Do you guys notice that, like, when you're not in a relationship, your anxiety goes way the fuck down? You have peace. You do not have peace because all of this shit is going on with you and I, or you and others, me and others. And our peace is all discombobulated. And then you're blaming the other person for not bringing you peace. You have to see that you have this unpeaceful ghost kicking it all up inside of you that is just laying in wait to come out and cause chaos, either in what you are projecting outwards or what is being projected onto you, and then you both are going to defend each other. Okay? I'm trying to bring you guys out of victim mode, myself included, okay? On the other hand, the person using the wall of words often just talk right on. You'll notice this too. Somebody who just talks and talk and talk, and they want to get their point across, either changing your mind, your reality to see what they mean. They don't feel heard, or they think that their reality is truth and everybody else's perspective is wrong. Even when someone politely tries to contribute to the conversation by making a comment or changing the subject, and they just keep talking, it looks fucking selfish. And then you, the over talker, is not letting the other person contribute to the conversation, and you're always bringing it back to you or the subject that you want to talk to. Autists, you get a pass, okay? All right. It is also quite common for a person to move from one kind of wall to another, switching from anger to fear or to words or silence at any time, though always remaining invulnerable behind these walls. You're not going to be able to connect if you have these walls up. And this goes with trust issues. Narcissistic people don't trust. They also have paranoia, and they believe that you think the way that they think, and that you are also, because of our defenses, you're gonna fuck with us from our childhood trauma. We're being defensive. We took on the shame of our parents, along with the shame that was instilled with us, projecting out onto others. You do that too. We're all different chemical makeups of our past, and we're bringing this unconscious shit out onto everybody else. Moving from non-existent boundaries to walls and back again, back and forth. The exposed codependent experiences this pain and quickly retreats again. What fucking pain? Moving from a wall of non-existent boundaries and back again usually happens first when a codependent who uses walls risks coming out from behind the wall and being vulnerable. The person suddenly realizes he or she is too vulnerable and defenseless because he or she has no boundaries. Experiencing life without boundaries is painful, whether the person encounters a true offender or someone who is merely taking responsibility for her or his own life. And they're going to come off as cold and uncooperative. You could be calling the actual secure person who does have boundaries because they're not letting you encroach on them as cold, non-cooperative, and you're going to demonize this person. Okay? You are going to be calling them the narcissist, controlling and everything, because you're going to be trying so hard to do whatever in your power to bring them into your reality perspective of how you see yourself. My voice! And then you're going to be blaming the other for being basically a fucking unemotional psychopath. Please know this. When you do start to fix yourself, you're going to stop blaming other people. Okay? Anyway, goddamn. In this book, Facing Codependence, okay, by Pia Mellody, take a goddamn screenshot and get the book. It talks about where all of our childhood trauma stems from, where these defenses stem from the real, dark side of the force, when narcissistic people defend themselves in a not so fucking pleasant way, and even your people pleasing and overly caregiving, no boundaries of yourself, and giving away your power as well, is causing you to resent the people in your life. And we can take back our power, take responsibility for ourselves, and have better relationships with everyone around us. Okay? I hate having to tell you that you have to remove yourself from people that you care about, but they're fucking ruining your life, and you are staying in victim mode, and that's ruining your life. Fuck it. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Have a great day. Namaste.